Hey people who watch the channel, it's been a while, and by a while I mean whoa, 8 months, jeez. I didn't mean to take such a big break between uploads, and with the overwhelmingly positive response to the last video, I wanted to make this next video just as good. So I skimmed through my favourite films and television shows, and then I looked at some new releases, and then I realised nothing was jumping out at me the way I wanted it to. I came close, but eventually I just called it a day. Seeing you guys comment these great things made me want to put something out, but I didn't want it to be half-arsed. All hope seemed lost until I turned on to Channel 4 and watched A Quiet Place. Now, I'd watched A Quiet Place before, I'd enjoyed A Quiet Place before, and I really didn't expect it to be the film that brought me back to the channel. But as I watched, I quickly became super invested in it, something that I find hard when I'm not in the cinema. I wanted to figure out why this was the film that had this effect on me, and so here we are. Now, quick summary of the film for those who live under a rock. A Quiet Place hit cinemas in 2018 and quickly became hot stuff with its unique utilization of sound in the plot. The film focuses on a family in the near future trying to live in a world that has to remain close to silent due to these creatures that are attracted to sound. It also has some weird comparison to Bird Box, but I haven't seen that film, so not for this video. Although not being a typical horror film, it is categorized in that genre. Now, for those of you who don't know me personally, I am not a horror guy. I think the films are great, I'm just too easily spooked. However, with all these recent films transcending the genre, it's pretty clear that it's one of the most diverse genres in terms of creativity out there, and A Quiet Place fits nicely into that. What works so well for A Quiet Place is that it's simple but innovative. The plot is as simple as they come and could perhaps become pretty tedious at times without the innovation of the sound design. The whole film centering around the sound adds this extra layer to the film that essentially makes it work. The tension comes from the sound or lack thereof. As a device, it draws you into the film, it immerses you in this world. You are in this world. Everyone who talks about this film always talks about the cinematic experience they had with it, because it works. That whole room remains dead silent because the film has convinced you that you can't make a sound. The atmosphere in the room is so tense and you can feel it. It's such a crazy feeling because at the end of the day, you can make a noise if you want to. But the power of the cinematic experience and the power of this film has made you forget that. That right there is a sign of a great film. Now, with this killer sound design acting as the crux for the plot, it's easy to overlook the technical accomplishments that this film provides. The score is great and adds to the emotive nature of scenes whilst breaking up the tension when it needs to, and the cinematography shot on 35mm makes this a really nice looking film, full of vibrancy and contrast in its colours. Overall, the film doesn't have too many weaknesses from a technical aspect. If I had to nitpick, I guess I could say that some of the film is quite predictable. Some of the dialogue could have more of an impact in the film as it's used quite sparingly. However, the film's visual storytelling is pretty top-notch, and that's thanks to director John Krasinski, who really brings his A-game. Hard to grasp how much work Krasinski and his fellow actors would put into the film until you start to think about the lack of dialogue. Without words, the actors have to use their wide range of non-verbal communication techniques to convey Krasinski's story, so his direction is key in making sure it plays out how he wants. Needless to say that him and his cast excel in this. Especially the younger cast members Millicent Simmons and Noah Jupe, who prove that young actors can be taken seriously. A Quiet Place as a film feels to me like something reminiscent of an 80s horror sci-fi classic. Something maybe in the style of John Carpenter, not really in its style, but more in how innovative and original it feels. It's a film that could have been released in that time period and easily stand out as one of the greats now. The film heavily relies on the idea of family. There isn't really a lead in the film and everyone has their part to play. We become invested in this broken, struggling family, broken by guilt, broken by circumstance, broken by loss. We want to see them succeed because we've seen their struggle. Once again, the film's sound design puts us in the film. We want this family to make it out of there because for the next 90 minutes, we're that family and we want to get out of there. Now, I've stayed pretty spoiler free in this video, but I'm going to quickly talk about that scene, so skip to this timestamp if you don't want any spoilers. Now, that scene, Krasinski's death scene, it's fantastic. From a filmmaking standpoint, it's great. From an emotional level, it's pretty great too. The film spends its entire runtime building up to this moment. A father who couldn't save his son gets to save his kids. A man struggling to connect with his daughter shows her his love. A scream of loss becomes a scream of love. He pays the ultimate sacrifice and the scene demonstrates it in such a beautiful way. What makes the scene so much more impactful to me is the importance of the hearing aid. Throughout the film, we see Lee trying to build a hearing aid so his daughter can hear again. His determination to show his daughter that he loves her and that he doesn't blame her for his son's death, despite her not accepting it, is visually represented through this hearing aid, so it makes sense that the device that can combat the creatures is the one forged by Lee's love, his determination, his will to make sure that his daughter knows that he loves her. Through that love and determination, he gives his family a chance to live on. He gives them hope. When I watched this film for the first time, it was the day before my GCSEs, and I almost missed out on watching this film in order to prepare. I'm glad that didn't happen. Instead, me and some good buddies took the time to see this movie that immersed me in this post-apocalyptic world, this movie that made me a part of its family, a movie that reminded me that whatever is going on outside doesn't need to be there for the next 90 minutes. This film reminded me of what the power of cinema is, and that's why I love it. Now, when the film ended, I'm not going to lie to you, I was happy with it, but I didn't really think there was need for a sequel, so when that information came out, I was pretty skeptical. But with the recent reviews for the film coming out, I am beyond excited. Thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you again, and goodbye.